Good evening. I am Geraldine Sen.
And I'm Matthew Ngolowakundua.
The youths are alive and nation, for they are crucial in building a nation. On the 11th of January, the Fijian government launched the YES program, which will provide an alternative source of livelihood by inspiring innovation and entrepreneurship amongst our young people. With us tonight to talk about the YES program is the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Industry, Trade and Tourism, Mr. Shaheen Ali, Ms. Shobha Reddy, Managing Director of ACT On Fiji, a YES selection panelist, and a recipient of the YES program, Atunaisa Rainima, who will be joining us later. Good evening and welcome to the show. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So, this is the first time that something of this nature has been launched in Fiji by the Fijian government, and it was announced in the 2017-2018 budget. Now, of course, this being something very different, nothing like this has been done before. It aims to create jobs instead of encouraging young people to seek jobs. What does that exactly mean?
You are right, it is a unique program. However, it's not a random program. It's part of Fijian government's policy on focusing on our youth, from free educations to bus fare subsidies to scholarships to access to tertiary education. And then the next stage, where our youths, after graduating, after getting their qualifications, have no option but to seek formal employment. However, some of them may have good ideas, some of them may have innovative ideas, some of them may wish to put in practice what they have attained in terms of technical knowledge. For example, an engineer. They would like to come up with innovative solutions and take it to the marketplace, but they are not empowered. They don't have that experience or the capital or the someone to guide them. So this scheme really comes in and presents another option for our young people to enter into business by providing them support, not just financial support, but a holistic support in terms of how to do business. Basic business training, bookkeeping training, whatever a person needs in terms of being successful. As you know, a lot of entrepreneurs like Shobha, they learn by their mistakes because you have to sort of venture and risk, and then you may be successful, you may not be successful first up. This scheme really tries to eliminate that and arm young people with all the information, inspiration needed for them to enter the very competitive business world and be successful and create livelihood. But more importantly, also create employment, create benefit for the economy. So this scheme is primarily geared towards that.
From some of the points that you've highlighted, what would make someone eligible for that? You listed some of them, but what would be some of the main reasons?
Okay, the eligibility criteria has been given as a policy. You have to be young entrepreneurship scheme. So you and I, although we are young at heart, are not eligible. So you have to be between the ages of 18 to 30.
18 to 30.
You have to have some sort of a tertiary qualification. And you have to have an innovative idea. Basically, it should not be a normal business idea. You have to convince the selection panel, which is comprised primarily of the private sector. You have to convince them that you have something innovative that can bring a difference, a competitive advantage in the marketplace, and then that will be supported. So it also encourages creativity, which is commonplace with young people, and it creates creative economic solutions from day-to-day life, and it sort of aims towards making the lives of every citizen better and giving them more options.
So it was highlighted in the 2017-2018 budget that the YES scheme has been given a budget allocation of $2 million, and that means that successful applicants, once their projects have been approved by the YES selection panel, will be getting a maximum of 20,000 Fijian dollars for their capital. What about other resources that we provided by the ministry?
Yeah, and that comes at a cost, but the ministry will bear that cost. We also have alerted private sector people in the selection panel that this is a partnership approach. So we hope that the private sector and the businesses will also partner with us and take on board some of the training and mentoring that is needed. For example, if the person needs to be attached to a company for a little while, say Shoba's IT company, and learn certain things, then that is provided for. The ministry will be also looking towards providing an incubation hub or center, and that will need some resources. Government offers a whole host of training, so does institutions like USP, FNU. So we'll be partnering with these institutions and seeing if these requirements could be met by our partners also.
Ms. Reddy, you also sit on the selection committee. Who else sits in the committee apart from yourself?
There are altogether 9 members
Nine
in
members.
the selection panel, and all of them come from various organizations. And the panel is chaired by Mr. Saud Minam, who is the CEO of ANZ.
So, you being managing director, and then you have a CEO. I'm guessing the other panelists are all head of companies as well?
Yes.
And these would be from which sectors?
The panel members are from like various sectors. Like we have Lawrence Tikaram from Coca-Cola. We have Joanne Young from FAO.
We have Ajay Ranika,
Ajay Raniga, Synergize, energy sector. And we have Truman Bradley, who has a whole host of business.
Does that include agriculture as well? Is there anyone from the agriculture sector there?
Yeah, Truman also has agriculture background and business. We have also
Meliki
from BAT.
Yeah.
She is in part of the executive management there. And Mr. Rajesh Punja. So yeah.
So people with a wealth of knowledge on not just business, but how to make things more innovative in that sense. So could you give us an idea of some of the proposals that have come forward in terms of innovation?
Even the first 5 recipients, the projects are quite innovative because they are not simple agriculture projects or manufacturing industry projects. They look at converting things into energy, for example. So the young gentleman that we'll speak to, Atunesa, he looks at landscaping and taking the refuse and converting that into cooking gas, for example. So that type of innovation is looked for. And one of the recipients is trying to enter the confectionery market or the food market, and takes 2 resources that we have, milk and honey, and is trying to create honey-flavored ice blocks. So we see that we are receiving a lot of these innovative projects. There's another recipient that is wanting to use the tiny house movement and address our housing shortage needs. So most of the projects that come in that the selection panel looks at is quite innovative. But they need to be guided. They may have innovative ideas, but the business realities, and you have captains of industries in the selection panel, but that is not limited to the selection panel also. We also have a whole host of mentors that are part of our mentoring list. So for example, a young gentleman that is very successful is of Fijian origin in Australia, that is the owner of Half Brick Solution that has created the app Fruit Ninja. Mr. Shanil Doe is also a mentor and has offered his services to mentor young people that want to enter into IT sector. So we have a lot of support from the private sector to help these young recipients.
Thank you for that, Mr. Ali. We'll be back with more after the break. You're watching For the Record. Welcome back. Ms. Shoba, You're a Managing Director for Act On Fiji and also a YES selection panelist. Regards to the applications and how they are reviewed, how are they selected? What needs to be submitted with the applications?
Okay, so all the applications are expected to be submitted together with a brief business plan, what their core product or service is, and how is that idea innovative or unique. And the selection panel basically evaluates the responses received. Some of the applications may not have this information in detail, so if we consider an idea to be valid and that application sort of lacks a proper business plan or a feasibility study or a the competitive market, we basically attach that applicant to a mentor who basically guides the applicant to doing a proper business plan for his business idea.
Okay, so there were 5 recipients of the YES program recently.
Yep.
How many applications were submitted before these 5 were chosen?
I think altogether there was more than 130 applications received, from which these 5 were selected. And as Mr. Ali had earlier mentioned, the Secretariat actually assists the panel by shortlisting from all the applications received, and then the selection panel basically goes through the shortlisted list and evaluates that further.
And out of the 9 of you, does it require a unanimous vote, or like let's say 5 out of 4?
Yeah, we basically discuss the business idea and we justify why we should validate that project, and then we basically agree. So yes, there's sort of like a voting system.
With the selection criteria being 18 to 30 years of age and also having some sort of technical or vocational experience, it's not necessary for the applicants to have any business acumen per se, because you said that there would be mentors who would be guiding them.
That's
However, with young people these days, of course, the one thing that they would be scared about with submitting applications is wondering with their credit ratings, do they need some sort of approval from the banks or anyone else who would, they'd have to list collateral or something like that? Or is it just their idea and their business plan that needs to come forward?
It is just basically the business idea that they have. They don't really need a credit check, etc. And as we've highlighted earlier, they will be guided by the mentor team. The government is trying to provide an incentive for young people to complete their higher education, and that's the reason why that is one of the criteria that you have to have a qualification. So it's not to discourage anyone from pursuing their education further.
Of course, something like this would actually encourage them to complete their tertiary education or higher education so that they could apply for this scheme.
Exactly.
However, who is excluded from applying for the YES scheme?
So the exclusion basically includes the immediate family members of the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Tourism. And basically the other exclusion would be the employees of the Fijian civil service.
I see.
Now, the mentors that you spoke about, are they the part of the panelists that sit on the selection committee, or do you find other willing people who would, or people in business who would like to be mentors?
There is a team of mentors who are not part of the selection panel, but the selection panel would be deemed as mentors as well.
Okay.
Mr. Ali, with the mentors, how are they chosen? Do they willingly apply, or do they have to be chosen and vetted?
They volunteer. There, of course, needs to be, like I said, leaders in their own field, people that have done well, people that have done well in business, both in Fiji and overseas, that can set good examples for young people. So these people are approached and then selected by the minister, who then gives them an appointment letter. Upon their acceptance, of course, then they're formally part of the mentoring process. However, we have received a tremendous amount of response from business leaders, from people in the media, people in the academia, that say that our services are available. If you need us, just give us a call. It doesn't need to be anything formal. We can always access their services.
I see. So this mentorship program that has already been kick-started, if there are willing, business people out there who would like to volunteer their services and their skill set to this, can they also apply now?
We in the ministry would love to hear from them and just increase our list of mentors to go to, because as Shobha has mentioned, we do receive applications from a diverse range of sectors, and of course we in government are not experts in any particular field. However, we can source experts and guide these applicants.
Thank you for that, Mr. Ali. We'll be back with more after the break. You're watching For the Record. Welcome back. You're watching For the Record. Tonight, we're talking about the YES program with the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Industry, Trade and Tourism, Mr. Shaheen Ali. And now we meet one of the recipients of the YES program, Atunaisa Rainima.
Atu, so would you mind telling us how you found out about the YES program?
I just heard in the newspaper this program, and I asked my auntie to help me propose to apply for this YES program.
So what's your business idea? I mean, we got a bit of it from Mr. Ali here, but what's the rest? Like, could you go into detail about it?
My business is lawn maintenance and landscaping, basic landscaping, and converting the grass clipping and food refuse to cooking gas.
So it's eco-friendly. It's something that's never been done in Fiji before. Now you're 23 years of age, fairly young. How do you feel about this program? Do you think that with the ministry's assistance that your business plan can take off and that it will actually not only earn you money but also help create jobs for people in the rural areas?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah?
So about this plan, where did you come up with the idea for something like this?
My two grandfather is they make me want to start this business. One of my grandfather used to be a vet officer and an animal doctor. He used to make the biogas from there. He used to make his own oven. Making the cooking solar. And he used to tell us not to cut trees, preserve trees for saving the environment. And from that time he died, and no one continued. And my grandfather from my father then used to cut grass for living only.
So building that, trying to create that kind of gases, obviously the machine work and all that's done, is that something you also know how to do? Like set up your system? Or is that something that you're going to be helped with one of your mentors?
We'll be helped by my
mentors.
Yes.
In fact, he's given detailed plans as to how to go about doing it. And the selection panel was quite impressed as to the design and the idea, and it was simple yet quite innovative and effective, and it's something that won't cost an arm and a length. It can be done like at a fairly cost-effective method, and if it's successful, it can really take off.
And in terms of this landscaping business, is there someone who will be helping him, build up his clientele in those cases?
I think he has addressed that in his plan. He's identified his market segment, but of course he'll be guided by the mentors, and as we go further along, I'm sure that will be taken into consideration, and there'll be sort of a proper forecasting of his target market and the profits and the cost and all that.
And after, who is your target market? Who will you be, trying to get involved to help you out in your business?
My auntie.
Yeah.
She will help me.
Okay. So, Atu, with this program, of course, in association with the ministry helping out with that, I can understand that one of YES's intended outcomes is to increase the contribution of micro, small and medium enterprises sector by 25% to GDP. And of course, with the 2017 census results that had just come out, with unemployment rates being the lowest in the past 15 years, something like this would of course create more employment in rural maritime sectors as well. Atu, are you looking forward to encouraging more youths in your community? Of course, you come from Thai level, to try out new ideas like this?
Yes, madam.
Yeah?
I want to tell the youth out of the society never to look down. Whatever they attend or seek help, trust to help their map their vision.
Right. With the, of course, you'd have friends and family in the rural areas as well. Do you already have friends and family that would have ideas, and would you encourage them to bring them to the ministry in this form with the scheme? Of course, they said that they're going to be providing not only with the capital of grants, but with mentoring as well. Would you ask them, or would you encourage them to come forward now?
Yeah, I will encourage them so they can take the opportunity for the government giving the YES program.
Yeah.
Which is one of good luck for me that I achieved this. It's like I used to be a businessman. But
Self-made man.
Yes.
That's very commendable.
And your business plan, how much would that cost to kickstart something like that?
It will be when you start the business, you need money. Like 20,000 will be
Enough for you to
enough
start?
to start. Buy the equipment and pay my employer.
Do you have a mentor now?
From this moment, I have a mentor, but I don't know the European.
Oh, so someone has been assigned, but you're not exactly sure who.
Okay, so
That's
right now, everything is still in the process with them getting their stuff off the ground.
Sure. The mentors will be in touch with, Atu's mentor will be in touch with him and have a few meetings and help him along with things like the business plan and the agreements that he needs to go through. And of course the training, because the ministry, as I said earlier, we are not just leaving the recipients after they've been approved with basically, now you do the business. There is a certain level of training. There may be sort of experts, they may have qualifications, say, in one field, but may not have any experience or qualifications, say, in business, in doing business. So that sort of training is already being provided by institutions and by the ministry. So there is a whole host of trainings that we also will recommend that our recipients go through so that they're well equipped to succeed in this business. And of course, Atu is one of the first recipients, so he's like our poster boy also. And as you had asked him whether others will be encouraged, for sure when they see what Atunesa can achieve, others will be also aspire to achieve that. Yeah.
We'll delve more into that after the break. You're watching For the Record. Welcome back to the show. Earlier on, we'd had a word with one of the YES recipients, Atunaisa Rainima, and again, we're joined by YES selection panelist, Ms. Shobha Reddy, and of course, the PS for the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Tourism, Mr. Shaheen Ali. Now, Ms. Reddy, with Atunaisa, for example, he had been awarded the YES program, and he has gotten a grant, of course, which he's going to be using to start off a very innovative, something that hasn't been done before in Fiji, hasn't been thought of actually, and wondering about the mentorship process. Since the YES program is going to be targeting mainly those who are in the rural and maritime areas, how will these mentors interact with the YES recipients?
We anticipate them to basically meet occasionally, and I think the government is providing rooms or facilities at the ministry's head office in Suva as well for such discussions. Apart from that, they can adopt any other modes of communication, for example, phones or emails to communicate to each other.
As we speak, currently there's a recipient, Vincent, that is located in Lambasa, and his mentor is having an interview session with him in our office through Skype. So we can use technology, we can use phones, and whenever the recipient is in Suva or the mentors are at the location of the recipients, we arrange meetings. There will be certain workshops, trainings that the recipients would be required to attend, and then we will facilitate them to come to Suva to do that or take the trainings to them.
I see. Now, with the advent of technology, of course, most of the recipients would most probably be, fresh students out of university or tertiary institutions, and of course they would know how to use online portals. Is there anything any place rather, where they would be able to access information remotely so they can follow up on the grants or anything else related to the YES scheme?
Yes, so the YES committee has set up a website for the YES program, and most of the applications are coming through the website, the web portal. And all applicants would be able to track the progress of the applications through that web portal as well.
This web portal, of course, is the same one where applications can be submitted?
Yes, that's true.
So www.yes.gov.fj.
And is there a limitation to the amount of people that you can pick in a year?
At the moment there is not. Till date we've had 250 applications. So once we have a critical mass of applications, we call for a selection panel meeting, and then the new applications are gone over. There is a master list. It's not that we do a short list and the selection panel just looks at the short list. The selection panel looks at all the applications and picks out some of the winners, like Atunesa, as we witnessed, who's mentored by Mr. Truman Bradley. He has a brilliant idea. It can go towards our aims and targets for COP23 for sustainable development if it really takes off. So he needs to be guided by an expert to be able to put his ideas into practice.
So the key to actually receiving a YES grant would be innovation,
Yes.
especially when they deliver their proposals. What's another thing you're looking for?
It's innovation. That is one factor, but basically we are looking for people that are able to, or recipients or young people that are able to have an idea that adds value to a particular resource, or take their skills and employ it in such a way to provide a service. So it is a broad range. It's not a narrow sort of, they can come up with any proposals in traditional sectors like agriculture or manufacturing, or innovative sectors like IT, or renewable energy, for example. But the sky is the limit, and that's what we want to tell the recipients, that if you have an idea, we will give you the tools and the means to put that idea into fruition.
And apart from that, I think another would be to promote job creations. So, if they can improve the living standards and the welfare of people in their community, it's another thing that we'll consider.
What are your marketing plans for 2018?
Marketing plan has already started. We have engaged all media platforms, social media and mainstream media. We have engaged all our institutions, tertiary institutions, as well as our schools through Ministry of Education. We plan to participate in events like the Entrepreneurship Fair that University of the South Pacific will hold. We plan to run workshops in the Central Division, in the Western Division, in the Northern Division, so that we don't disadvantage anyone. So we have a 6-month plan that the selection panel has looked at, and in that plan we'll be able to use people like Shobha and other selection panel members and the ministry staff to talk to young people one-to-one and also get our message across. Since the launch by the Honorable Prime Minister, our YES website has received a tremendous amount of hits. People are engaging with that website or browsing it and making inquiries. We are also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, LinkedIn. So all these media platforms that the young people today use, the platform is there to promote the scheme.
Just very quickly though, with the budget allocation being $2 million and each grant having a maximum of $20,000, just wondering though, that $2 million is allocated purely just for the grants,
For the
nothing
grants.
else?
Yes, because the ministry already has a policy of supporting small micro enterprises, and we have a initiative that is called the Central Coordinating Agency, which was set up under the Prime Minister to coordinate all activities to help small business. So under that initiative, we are able to support marketing of the YES scheme and other budgetary requirements that are required. But the $2 million that has been allocated, that's purely for grant purposes.
Thank you for that, Mr. Ali. We'll be back with more after the break. You're watching For the Record. Welcome back to the show. You're watching For the Record.
So, Mr. Ali, apart from the Entrepreneurship Fair USB, what other key events do you have going on for this year?
Like we said, we would want to get the message across to the young people, and young people are normally found in the academic institutions. We've talked about how we are advertising this through various media channels. We want to work with the institutions, run workshops with them, use the expertise of organizations such as PIPSO and other agencies that give this type of training that helps us in business. So this coming few months, as I've previously stated, that we will look at taking training and workshop and sort of like a road show together with our YES panel members and mentors to various parts of Fiji and create and have those workshops for the young people and invite them to them.
With that being said, like I understand that someone can be schooling and apply for this scheme. Now what if a young person was working? Are they able to apply for this scheme as well?
The eligibility is quite open. They just have to meet the age criteria and have qualifications and have interest in doing business. So yes, the short answer is yes.
And do you have recipients who are working right now?
Yes, and are planning to do business. They have a aspiration to be in business like Atu. And perhaps they don't want to do a 9-to-5 job, a desk job, like you and I. They want to be their own bosses. They want to have their own employees and give people a chance. We have one recipient, for example, from Tiny Homes, the Tiny Homes idea. He said he wanted to take unskilled people and train them into house building and create employment for people in his community. So they are those individuals that have this aspiration, and YES is ideal for them.
With the YES program, with the YES initiative, successful applicants, of course, will be receiving a grant of maximum of $20,000 Fijian dollars, that is. How would they be legally binded? Do they sign a contract or something with the ministry?
We sign an agreement with them, and that puts some reporting obligations on them, and also it gives them the right to access that grant facility. So there is a little bit of governance that goes with it and accountability. So there is an agreement signed, and also they may be, as a first-up grant recipient, wanting to buy equipments and things like that. So the Secretariat is able to source that for them, so they don't give them the grants directly. We are able to go to the service suppliers directly and deal with them and take that out. That's one less thing the recipients need to deal with.
Of course, that's with capital, but what about their projects and their ideas? Now, of course, you're dealing with innovative, creative ideas, which is the basis for one of the criteria for getting the YES grant. How are their ideas kept confidential? Of course, this is all intellectual property.
Yeah, so all the panel members sign disclaimers when they are reviewing any proposal. So at every stage, they do sign off disclaimers. And also, we are careful about advertising or releasing details about their projects. Of course, one of the objectives is to keep their intellectual property secure.
With applications that can be given in, of course, this can be submitted electronically on the website. What about those who are living in rural and maritime areas? How can they submit their proposals? Of course, not everyone will have access to email.
But you'd be surprised, a lot of them do. There is a high penetration rate of smartphones, mobile phones, and of course internet, with government's ITC centers being established almost all parts of Fiji. But yeah, there is an option of getting a hard copy of your applications to our offices, either at the HQ at the Civic Towers. We have a post box, and also in Lambasa and Lotoka, so north and the west. So they can physically also submit their applications. Most of the applications we do receive is through the website, however, where it's easier because you just fill in the electronic forms. You don't have to print the form, fill it in, and scan it and send it back to us.
Thank you for coming on the show, Ms. Shobha Reddy and Mr. Ali. Hope you enjoy the show. If you'd like to know more about the YES program, you can visit their website on www.yes.gov.fj or call them on 3305 411. From Matthew, the team, and I, have yourself a wonderful evening.